And we're live, and we got a special guest with us today. His name's Jackson. Hi, Jackson.
Say hi.
Hi, bud.
All right. We're not paying him for that.
That's mom first.
Anyway,
this film was not included in his cost.
Jack, come here.
Well, we're live.
He's very
Yankee Chatter. I'm not sure what episode it is, but it's been about 2 months since we've broadcasted with you guys. We've pretty much have an entire season to talk about with the Yankees.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, my name is Greg Andriano, and these are my buddies up north in New York. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Bratter from upstate New York. This is Moto guy Jack. He's making a cameo today, just to make things interesting.
Of course. Gotta.
Yeah. I'm Tino. I'm about 30 yards away from Bratter, another house in upstate New York.
And I'm way down here in Orlando, Florida. But yeah, this is Yankee Chatter. Like I said, we have lots to talk about. We haven't broadcasted. I think the last time we were all together was for the live stream that we did during opening day.
Opening day, yeah.
Oh yeah,
we did
9 games have passed. What's that?
We did a show after that.
We did?
I think so.
But I was gonna say it's kind of cool that if we didn't, it would have been kind of cool to do the first day of the season.
Yeah, you know what? And we could. I wish I had on hand the playoff predictions that we made that day. I know they were a little off, but I wanted to see how close.
I mean, we could probably go through who made it from each league and kind of tell who we guessed. Yeah. None of us probably had Toronto.
I don't think so.
I think we had the White Sox.
I think someone had the White Sox. I was looking at it the other day.
I think I did. I
think Tino did. Yes, I have it written out right here. Yeah, again, we did it before we understood the overall playoff layout. We didn't realize that second place teams got in, and
right.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is because I see a lot of X's and stuff, and it's like seeing Toronto in there, and then after the series they had with the Yankees, when the Yankees kicked the shit out of them. How are they a playoff team?
Well, they last week, so
exactly. So, like I said, today's the last day of the season. There is everybody plays today, game number 60. A lot of playoff seedings, and I think everybody's clinched. It's just what seeding needs to be determined today, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of playoff implications for today's game with the Yankees and the Marlins. If the Yankees,
the NL's not clinched yet, Greg.
No, they're not. Okay, maybe I should bring that up and look at it.
I think the 8th seed is still in between 3 teams. I think it's the Phillies, Giants, and Brewers,
and the Cardinals as well.
Wow. So
I think the Cardinals are in the playoffs, though, right? They just don't know what seed.
No, they haven't clinched yet. It's between San Francisco, Seattle, or St. Louis, and the Phillies for the last spot.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
Cincinnati has clinched.
They clinched last night.
Right, and I think
they're tied with St. Louis.
Brad, you had them winning the division.
The Cardinals or
the Reds?
Oh, the Reds, yeah. Yeah, they've actually underperformed most of the year.
They really did. They're like the Yankees. The Yankees really underperformed this year, but we can get into that later. But yeah, with the Yankees, they play the Marlins today, and if they're right now, because of how streaky and how Jekyll and Hyde they've been this year, if they win, they lock up the 5 seed. If they lose and Toronto wins, which they're playing the Orioles, so odds are really in their favor, Toronto locks up the 5th seed, and the Yankees fall to the 8th seed, which really sucks because then, like Brad just said, they'll have to play Tampa, which if you guys have been paying attention this year, the Yankees have really struggled against Tampa. So this would be a really nice moment of redemption for the Yankees if they had to play Tampa, but I'm not really feeling very confident about that matchup. The matchup I'm really feeling a little bit better about is if they lock up the 5 seed, they take on the White Sox. The White Sox have really struggled to close out the season. I think they lost 6 or 7 in a row. Yeah,
and Tim Anderson hasn't played. I think he missed the last 10 games of the season. Do they have a chance, Greg? That division, isn't it still up for grabs between Cleveland, Minnesota, Chicago, or no?
So I'm looking at it right now. Minnesota is in first, but they only have a game lead over the White Sox. So if I don't know who holds the tiebreaker for that. So the tiebreaker is really strange. First, it goes to head-to-head if you're in the same division.
Yep.
If you're tied for head-to-head, which in the Yankees case with the Blue Jays, they're tied head-to-head. They're 5-5. Then it goes to division, record against the division.
Yeah.
And if the Yankees, that's why I said if the Yankees win today, then they will have a 1-game advantage over the Blue Jays, and that's why they would get the 5 seed. If they lose and the Blue Jays win, I believe that's why they get it. They would have the advantage.
You want the tiebreakers for the Central?
I do. Do you have them handy?
No, I have them. So Cleveland holds the tiebreaker against the White Sox.
Okay.
Minnesota has a head-to-head tiebreaker against Cleveland.
Okay.
And then this is where it gets confusing. Minnesota and Chicago split the head-to-head meetings. So it goes to division winning percentage, like you said. Chicago takes that over Minnesota. So Chicago has a tiebreaker over Minnesota.
So if Chicago wins today and Minnesota loses, Chicago wins division.
Right, and Minnesota will go to 5, right? But isn't Cleveland basically the same record as?
So if Minnesota loses and Cleveland wins, I think Cleveland's 2 games behind Minnesota, so they have no way.
Has a tiebreaker over them anyway, so
Yeah, and I don't think they have a chance. They can't tie them, so they'll be a game behind Minnesota.
So Cleveland's number 7 seed, no matter what, basically.
Yeah.
Well, they're a game behind the White Sox. So if they both, yep, pretty much. Now that I think about that, now that I said it out loud, because if they lose, the White Sox have the tiebreaker over Cleveland, right?
Yeah, so it would be.
No. Cleveland has it over Chicago.
Oh, so if Cleveland wins and Chicago loses, then Yankees are playing Cleveland.
And that's not what we want either.
No, we don't want to face that pitching staff.
Cleveland's actually playing really good lately, but they've underperformed. All they basically have is their pitching and Jose Ramirez. So,
But if Cleveland loses and Chicago wins, so the Yankees have 3 options that they might end up facing here. They have if they win and everything stays as is in the Central Division, they play the White Sox. If they lose and Toronto wins, they play the Rays. If they win and Cleveland wins and Chicago loses, they play the Indians. So a lot going on today. It's kind of all over the place. But that's I guess so. I haven't really been a big fan of the expanded playoffs, mainly because of the fact that Houston is getting in with if they lose today, they'll finish the season with a 29-31 record.
That's ridiculous.
Which is ridiculous. No team should make the playoffs with an under 500 record.
I mean, it happens in the NFL too some years. So
it sucks. And now
it's like the
NFL, so I'm a little bit more okay with it in the NFL because they play so many fewer games.
Yeah.
Whereas in baseball, it's 60 games, which still is a third of the season, pretty much. It's still a lot of games compared to that.
Think about this, Greg. Without the expanded playoffs today, if the Yankees lost and Toronto won, the Yankees wouldn't even make the playoffs. That's
true.
which would suck. But I mean, they deserve it after underperforming.
Yeah.
This year doesn't have a play-in game. It's just 1-8, 2-7, right?
Right. It's just 1 versus 8, 2 versus 8.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I will say though, Greg, it's a reason why I'm happy there's expanded playoffs this year and this year only is because the central divisions for both leagues are, I guess, really weak. If you look at the NL Central and AL Central, all those teams are really underperformed this year. Other than White Sox did better than expected, but still overall compared to everyone else, they've all underperformed. Even Chicago, even the White Sox, I think they have a below 500 record when they face teams that are above 500. So I will say those teams had it. I want to say easier than the East or the West teams, but.
But you're still, from the Yankees front, you're still nervous to play those guys, like Cleveland.
I'm nervous no matter what because you don't know what Yankees team's going to show up every game.
Yeah, if yesterday was an indication of a start of a new hot streak, then that's great. But if they show up today and lay an egg like they did in Toronto after they lost to Boston, then it's going to be not a very enjoyable playoff series to watch.
Which is so weird because their bats were so alive against Toronto last week.
They were. They won 10 games in a row. You know that they're capable of doing great things. You know that they're capable. They can go on a run. They have the talent. It's just whether or not they want to. It's really whether or not they want to show up that day.
It's crazy. Everyone wanted a starting pitcher at the deadline, but the actual starting pitching has not been an issue at all.
No, they struggled. They struggled very early on, but then they clicked, and that's pretty much what has happened the last 2 years before this year. Everybody was worried about the Yankees starting pitching, even with CC Sabathia at the tail end of his career, and you didn't know what you were going to get. And the pitching has really overperformed, the starting pitching. Now, the big weakness right now is the bullpen.
Which is crazy to think that.
The bullpen and the offense. The offense is so inconsistent, and the bullpen, you don't know what you're going to get out of that. And, Brad, we talked about it yesterday, that losing Tommy Kahnle, upstate New York boy, has been really probably the worst thing that could have happened to the bullpen.
Who would have thought that would have been one of the major injuries? I think other than Severino, he's got to be the biggest injury loss.
Mm-hmm.
When any reliever goes down, as a Yankee fan, you're like, all right, no big deal because we have so many other pitchers. But like you said, Ottavino's been pretty awful this year.
Mm-hmm.
Chad Green started out on fire and then just kind of fell off the wagon. And now they don't really have – and, Chapman always makes you sweat. So you really don't have any guys that were pitching like Kahnle. Kahnle was just like – he was your most reliable pitcher.
He was ridiculous. He was pitching really well. He really was. And Britton has been he's been okay.
Okay, yeah, exactly how
he hasn't been lights out, and he hasn't been terrible. He has decent games, and he has he does well, but he's not like standout. And that's really when you come into a season like this, and that's your strong point. And to have it fall flat like this is really, really disappointing.
Yeah,
as a fan and pretty much as an organization. So you got to hope that if they can win big today and carry this momentum into whoever they're facing in the first round of the playoffs, that's going to be very important.
I think if they lose today, Greg, this is a big must-win. If they lose today, I'm thinking their season's done because no momentum going to playoffs. Number two, they have to go play in the Tropicana for 3 games. If they win, I think they carry a lot of momentum into that first round, even though it's going to be on the road. It's going to be Minnesota or Chicago. So
the Marlins aren't a terrible team. They aren't. And I've been watching them the last 2 games, and they play a lot of small ball because they are a young team.
Oh, the Marlins you're talking about.
Yeah, the Marlins. And so that's why this has been.
By the way, can we talk about Don Mattingly's hippie look that he's got going on? I'm loving it. The wood-beaded bracelets, the flow coming out the back, and then he had those glasses on last night.
Man, I miss him in pinstripes. I wish he was somehow still a Yankee.
I don't think he'll ever be one ever again for some reason.
No, I mean they keep passing him up for. He's probably going to be in the National League.
He could. Considering the Marlins were expected to finish dead last.
That dude, it's just like I don't know. But you were talking about pitching. The one thing that I loved is that kid Garcia ended up being okay.
Yeah, he pitched yesterday, and he gave up 3 runs in the 1 inning, and
they're like hard hit runs,
No, and the way the Yankees offense had been going before that, I had written them off yesterday.
I just think that they might have found something, which they knew, but it came earlier than usual.
Mm-hmm. And this is exciting. And Clark Schmidt, their other highly rated prospect, starts today. Starts the final.
I don't know how I feel about that.
What's that?
I don't know how I feel about him pitching probably the most important game of the season.
Yeah, I think when they decided that, they didn't realize how much line, which is a little disappointing. So today might actually turn into maybe
but you don't know. You don't know.
But he might show up.
Because they need Cole for the first game of the playoffs. They can't pitch him today. But this might be the most important game of the year.
Yeah, you need Cole for the playoffs. So what do you do? Jay Happ pitched the other day. Tanaka, you need him for the playoffs. So your hands are kind of tied. Today would have been a perfect day for Severino to pitch or Paxton. But that's not the case. So you really hope that the problem with Clark Schmidt is, I'm not feeling overly confident in him right now because every time he pitched, he hasn't done very well. But he hasn't pitched in his typical.
They put him in some really bad spots.
Especially his debut. I mean, I think they put him in the game with the bases loaded to start for his first appearance ever.
Something like that.
Yeah. So it's his first start. He'll be in his routine. He'll be doing what he was doing in the minor leagues and how he prepared throughout. So I'm really looking to get a decent start out of him.
Because if you remember
Things out of him giving up 2 or 3 runs, I'd be okay with that if the Yankees offense shows up.
Because if you remember in the summer camp, him and King pitched really well.
Mm-hmm.
But King's also been really disappointing afterwards. So.
Yep. Jack agrees.
I'm looking at the Marlins roster, and I cannot. The only person I recognize is Joyce.
Yeah, Matt Joyce. He's been around for a long time.
Right, he played for Tampa forever.
He came up with the Rays. I think he win Rookie of the Year with Tampa.
I don't know about Rookie of the Year.
But Starling Marte, that's a name I recognize.
Yeah, and they just traded for him because he was with Arizona.
Yeah,
we're actually he was in conversations to get sent to the Yankees, and that obviously didn't happen. But they're only young guys. This is a completely rebuilt organization.
Yeah.
What?
They're a no-name team,
Yeah, they're completely rebuilt from the ground up. I think a lot. I'm friends with a couple Marlins fans down here, and when Jeter first took over, they were all like, "Oh, what the heck is he doing? They have no idea what they're doing." And I told them, "Look, he came from the Yankees. Be patient. They have to start over. They're going to put their imprint on their organization. And look at this; it's starting to pay off." And you're right. I think Tino. Don Mattingly's going to probably be with the Marlins for a long time, mostly because of his Yankee ties, because he's comfortable with Jeter and that whole organization.
If I was, you don't know how the person feels. Obviously, we don't know the guy, but if the Yankees came calling in 5 years, I'd say no. Like, you could have had me when, now you see I can do something with nothing.
I mean, they could have had Mattingly when they interviewed Girardi for the job. They're both going up for at the same time.
I didn't understand that one. Why they picked.
And so they picked up Girardi, and Mattingly went to the Dodgers, and he went to the Dodgers, and I think that really helped Mattingly because he got to bench coach under Torrey for a little bit.
But didn't Girardi? The reason Girardi got picked was he did the same thing Mattingly's doing now. Took a no-name team, won like Coach of the Year, and then all of a sudden he was a Yankee.
Yeah, they fired him after he won Coach of the Year.
With the Marlins.
Okay.
Because they didn't get along. He didn't get along with the GM. Basically, what happened in New York? It wasn't that he was a terrible manager. It's just he didn't see eye to eye with Cashman. And
like Billy Martin. I love it.
Mm-hmm. And then the Yankees signed a yes man like Boone.
That's the unfortunate thing. I don't think Boone's the guy for the job, but he's going to be there for a while just because, he's the yes man.
Did you see the thing that came out the other day where Cashman said that he thinks Boone's going to be the next Torrey and Girardi, and he might be in the Yankees for about 10 years?
Yeah, that's what the Yankees do. They don't really have short-term managers.
No. Which I guess is good, but you got to be confident in the guy that you're putting in the position. And, after the last 2 years, I was confident with Aaron Boone because of how well the Yankees performed and overperformed. But after this year, he raised a lot of questions. And let's talk about that for a little bit.
Well, did they overperform with Boone, though? I mean, I feel like the last time they overperformed was with Girardi.
Yeah, I guess.
And the expectations were already there for Boone.
I guess you're right. Yeah, he was handed a thoroughbred. And
but the pitching staff and the players he has, they should definitely overachieve.
Yeah, so Boone inherited a Yankee team that went to Game 7 of the ALCS against the Astros, and then they added Stanton and then gave that team to Boone. So I don't think that I'd see overperform for Boone.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess I really didn't think about that.
I would like to see what
Aaron forgetting that Girardi was managing in 2017 for some reason.
I bet
Aaron on that team
was 10-146.
Todd Bridger was our playoff hero that year for most of it, So speaking of Stan, actually, I want to get your thoughts on this. So it's been documented how bad Stanton's been since coming back from the IL. I think half his at-bats have been strikeouts. Going forward in the playoffs, I don't care how much money someone's making. You want to put your best team out there. And I think at this point, I'd rather have the way Andujar was hitting. I'd rather have him in the lineup than Stanton. And yet Andujar is going to probably be left at the alternate site. So what do you think about that?
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen Andujar get some more regular at-bats going into the playoffs just because he was – and that's the thing that why I wanted to talk about Boone – kind of being a disappointment this year is because I think they've mishandled a lot of the players. And the problem with Andujar is you don't have a position with him when your team's at full strength. And so he was starting to hit and then they send him down. And I think if they kept him up and he was around playing regularly somehow, in some way, shape, or form, then he would have returned or come close to the form that he had.
He was getting there
back in 2018, and he would have. I would feel more comfortable with him being in the lineup, possibly being your DH, because, like I said, he has no position. You can't put him out there when Urshela's playing, because Urshela is leaps and bounds better with the glove. You can put him at first base because Luke Voit has shown that he's MVP caliber this year. I call him Luke Voit light because he's literally half the size he was last year.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, he's going to have to DH.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think it also got pointed out how much, actually just as bad, if not worse, Torres has been than Andrew was.
Kleber has not been himself.
The second baseman.
And for some reason, he was playing with glasses, and he was playing really well. And now he stopped playing glasses.
I don't get that one either.
I don't know. So one of the other things Boone has been doing this year that drives me crazy, and Girardi sort of did it before when he was with the team, was he would take a guy that just started hitting and getting on, like maybe had 2 or 3 games in a row, and started performing really well, and he'd give him
a day off.
And then the Yankees would play poorly that day. And it's just like, come on, man, you're sitting your hottest hitter. You need him in the lineup. He's the reason why you've been performing well the last couple of days. And a lot of these guys feed off of the guys that are performing really well. So if you have a guy like Voit in the lineup who's homered 5 games in a row and you bench him, well, a lot of the guys feed off of his presence in the lineup, right?
Yeah, Girardi used to do the same thing. It used to drive me nuts because I remember I was listening to MLB Network Radio, and A-Rod was a guest on there, and they asked A-Rod about day offs. And they're like, now when you have a big game, is it good to get the next day off and kind of take a rest after all that running and hitting you did? He said, no. He said, when you're hitting, when you're on a hot streak and you're hitting the ball well, that ball's coming in and it looks like a beach ball to you.
Mm-hmm.
And one day off throws off your timing, throws off your vision, and you basically have to reset when you go back in there. And that's why I play every day.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I think Judge has been struggling since he's come back. I mean, he's starting to come around, but the reason why and Stanton has struggled really quite a bit since they missed 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah, and they came back and it was one day out, one day off, and that's just not going to.
It's so inconsistent. And when you're an everyday player for the majority of your career, and then you're starting to not play every day, it's going to mess with your timing. It's going to mess with how you're seeing the ball and how you feel out there. And so, that's why it was nice to see Judge. I think Judge and Stanton were both in the lineup yesterday. Yeah, because Stanton hit RBI double.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they're both in the lineup today. I think it would be with the weight of the game today. It would be a very big disappointment to see either of them not in the lineup, regardless of whether or not they're slumping. You want them in the lineup today because you want them to get their at-bats and you want them to be ready for the playoffs, because we want playoff Aaron Judge.
I'm trying to find the lineup. I think they already submitted, but I can't
post it. Where's my phone?
But
you get a notification.
I thought I got it, but maybe I didn't.
It doesn't look like it. They usually put it up like 2 or 3 hours before, so I'm surprised it's not out yet.
Right, that's why I thought it was out, but I guess not. But
no, not yet. Not
all right,
on the app.
The good thing for the Yankees is that the pitcher for the Marlins today is Urena, who's supposed to be very, very good, but he has not pitched good this year. So
yeah, he's 0-3 with a 6 ERA.
Yeah, but he's supposed to be another one of those guys like Sixto Sanchez that's like unbelievable.
Uh-huh. Oh, good thing he didn't have to face Sanchez.
Yeah. So going forward, he's supposed to be another young stud. So
yeah, I think if they faced Sanchez today or at all during the season, it would have been a lot like when they faced that guy from Boston last weekend.
Yeah.
They do not play well when they face new pitchers. They haven't.
They never have.
Never have. We've talked about that for 10 or 12 years now,
which is weird.
Well, because the Yankees are always built on veterans. If you think about it, the last few years it's been strange for the Yankees. They've had a lot of young talent, but normally they have a lot of veterans, and that's just when you're a veteran, you know the pitchers, you know what you're facing, and you have a team planning. New guys, you're going up there guessing, really.
Yeah, and the benefit of having a young team is a lot of these guys have faced these pitchers in the minor leagues. Well, if you have a veteran team where the majority of them have been in the big leagues for the past 5 to 10 years, you will have never seen these guys in the minor leagues. So you're facing them for the first time.
Right.
Right, Jack?
Do you agree, Jack?
Down.
Down. Fell down. Nothing fell down. Okay, well, at least he's talking to you guys now. I don't know what he's saying, but he's talking.
I think they're going to be fine today. I really do.
I hope you're right, Tino. I really am. I
They've got to know.
These guys are shot.
They've got to know that this is it. This is what is going to might keep the season alive, or it's going to be really tough to advance.
Because they came into the season and everyone was expecting them to run the table.
Yeah.
And now no one expected them to have the injuries like they had last year, which is unfortunate. But last year they seemed to make it work. This year seemed to have been the complete opposite. But then the problem was they got all their players back after or during the 10-game win streak, and then after, and then they just fizzled again.
Yeah, it's funny because I listen to, like I said, a lot of MLB Network Radio, and every Monday, Casey Stern and Brad Lidge do their power ranking. And this past Monday, they still had the Yankees at number 2 behind the Dodgers. And like, before anyone jump on us, just think we had that number 2 or 1 in the offseason because we knew they had their whole team playing and they were clicking like they were against Toronto that one series. That they're that good. And it's funny because as soon as they put them at number 2 behind the Dodgers, of course.
Yeah.
They went on to lose 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 to Toronto, and then lost that first one to the Marlins. So it's like thanks for that jinx, but
Yeah, right.
So let's talk a little bit about the playoffs in general, about the teams that have already clinched and teams that are looking to clinch today. Right now, I hate to say it because Brad and Tino, you guys know how much I despise the Rays.
is it worse than the Red Sox now, Greg?
I think right now, this season, yes. The Red Sox have nothing. I watched them play, and I'm like, yeah, they're just another team right now.
Yeah, this year, but I mean overall, like which organization?
Overall, I don't know. They're climbing because there's this arrogance and this cockiness with the Rays.
They really do have.
When they're good, they're incredibly cocky, and when they're cocky, it rubs me the wrong way, and I don't like it.
You look at the teams always their team's personalities come from the manager, and that's how Cash is.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Cora was.
Cora and Hinch. Hinch was like that too.
Yeah.
So the Rays right now hold the best record in the American League, and they pretty much have locked. It looks like they have locked up the number 1 seed. Good for them. Kudos. Glad they're used to playing with nobody in their stands. So playing with empty ballparks was probably nothing new to them. So that's probably why they did so well this year. Plus, they're managed really well and they're run really well. I'll give them some credit when credit's due.
I mean, that's where they are, and that bullpen is unbelievable. Like, Yankees hit in the relievers.
And that one guy was Chaz Rowe comes in and he can throw 21 straight sliders and the Yankees won't touch it. They know it's coming and they won't touch it.
It's just like the cutter, right?
What's that?
I guess it's similar to Mario Cutter.
Yeah, yep. You know it's coming.
Mario Cutter, I'm the same pitch. You know it's coming, you still can't hit it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so they got number 1 seed locked up. Like I said, if everything bounces a certain way, the Yankees could ultimately face them, which is the last thing we want. But right now, if it finishes the way it's laid out right now, Toronto has the 8 seed. And, that could work to our favor because Toronto has given the Rays a lot of issues this year. They're like the one team that has given the Rays some problems.
That's awesome.
So if the Rays face the Jays in the first round, that could be a big upset.
The bad news is the Yankees are going to play that winner of that series. So even if the Jays beat the Rays, the Yankees have to play 4 out of the 7 games in Buffalo, and
right. Well, if the Yankees face the winner of that series, wouldn't that be in the bubble?
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's all out in San Diego.
So that could work to the Yankees' favor there too, because they did not play well in Buffalo, but they did play the Jays really well in New York. They beat them around. So if they played them in a place that they've played before and that they're more comfortable with, like, I guess, where are they playing? L.A. Dodgers?
What's that? The Yankees are going to play in San Diego.
San Diego. Well, I mean, they've really never played there before, but it's a major league ballpark, so it could work to their favor.
And what kind of stadium is that? Is that a hitter friendly or pitcher friendly?
I believe it is a pitcher's friendly ballpark.
That's what I thought, which works against the Yankees because they're built around the home run. But
it works against their offense, but it really helps their pitching. And if their pitching shows up, which you would hope Cole, Tanaka, and maybe Garcia as the number 3 starter, which we should talk about that next. Or Happ.
Go 3.
Huh?
The way Happ's been pitching, I think you can go Happ 3.
I could see that. He's been very good lately, and I think he's used the fuel of, well, the Yankees aren't giving me my 10 starts, so I'm gonna sneak into and pitch better, and maybe that'll chip on my shoulder sort of thing.
Hey, did I see this correctly? Since Stanton isn't opting out, he still has another 7 years on his contract.
Mm-hmm.
God, he's gonna be Yankee for a long time.
Unless they can trade him, which I doubt it, because
Who's gonna take that?
He can't stay healthy, when he plays, he can play, but
that's why he's not opting out.
But he's not opting out, and why would he?
Yeah,
he hasn't been healthy the last 2 years, and he's making $27 million. If he opts out, there's no way any team is giving him any better contract than what he already has.
I know he'll never do it, but do you think they'll try to get him to
restructure?
Well, no, I was going to say maybe a restructure, but why would he do that?
That doesn't really happen in baseball.
No, that's what I was going to say. You beat me to it, Brad. You don't really see that more in football and basketball.
Whole thing usually
because in basketball and football they call them out when they're sucking.
Because
there's a cap in those leagues too, right?
Yeah, well, that too.
Yeah, in football is a cap space. They transfer salary into signing bonuses. Baseball doesn't matter. I mean, there is a luxury tax that you want to stay underneath, but players don't.
It's funny that everyone was upset about A-Rod's contract, and they did the same thing again with the same kind of, not the same kind of player, but you understand what I'm saying. They took in another guy that was he was younger, right? A-Rod, Stan was younger when they took him in.
I think so.
When they traded for him, but still.
But the big difference with Stanton and A-Rod is A-Rod was by far the better player.
Oh, absolutely.
He was coming off he was coming off big seasons with Texas and Seattle, whereas Stanton had one very, very, very good year with Miami, and he was kind of hurt on and off seasons before that. So Miami was crazy to give him that gigantic contract to begin with.
Yeah.
But and I could see 6 or 7 years from now, Yankees doing what they did with Ellsbury and what they did with A-Rod, and kind of like just forcing him out. Unless for some reason he all of a sudden gets healthy and has a couple of great seasons mixed in with there. But right now, he's starting to look more like Ellsbury than A-Rod.
Well, that's the thing, is that he started very well this year, and then it just went back to what he was.
But it's that same thing where you miss a big chunk of time. You need to get regular playing. And the problem with going to the alternate site is you're not in game situations, really. I mean, they are, but they don't carry the same weight as being in a regular baseball game. So you're going from like batting practice and live BP to a real game, major league game situation. So you're not getting the same feel out of your at-bats as you would. So you're coming back and you're uncomfortable, and you're not seeing the ball the same, and you're facing your own guys. So he needed probably 10 straight games of regular at-bats before you'd see the Stanton that we had at the beginning of the season.
So playoffs start what, Tuesday, Greg?
I think so.
Because everyone has to play at the exact same time today. I think you can start at 3 o'clock? They'll have tomorrow off to travel to their respective bubbles, and then
3 o'clock.
I'm actually pretty excited about the bubble thing, though. I really am.
I think it's cool. I think it's going to give it like a March Madness type of feel,
like a Little League World Series type.
Yeah, Little League World Series, College World Series. You're all in the same place. You're all playing on the same field. You all have the same conditions per your site, and I think it's going to be cool. It's definitely unique to this season, and definitely unique to the situation we're in. So it'll be cool. It'll be something we'll be talking about for sure.
Yeah. What we'll have to do is Tuesday somehow, whether we send them to you or do a video ourselves, we'll do our predictions. I don't want to make predictions today because we don't even know who's going to be in the playoffs.
That's true. So maybe what we'll do is when everything's finalized after today, maybe tomorrow or something like that, we each video ourselves giving our predictions, and we'll do all the way through from beginning to end, and and we'll see what happens, who has the most right and whatever, like a March Madness type situation.
So, but you think about it though, and I want to switch over to the other side. Like, is it like the Dodgers are bust for the West or the National League?
I mean, the Dodgers are ridiculously good. They have the best record in the major leagues right now. They are.
I will say
40,
this when I was looking at it. I
17.
was surprised to see the Padres in there, but I forgot. Don't they have Manny Machado now?
They have Machado.
Yeah.
They have
Did you see they lost
guy. What's that?
They lost Clevenger for the rest of the year.
They did, yeah.
They did. That was their big trade. But
Crazy.
he's a big reason why they locked up the number 2 seed in the West.
Which is crazy because I was one of those fans that really wanted Clevenger, and just looking back, it's kind of funny because that would have went down as another failed trading deadline trade by Brian Cashman.
And they have a favorable matchup, I think, right now. Right now, San Diego's in the 4 seed. If everything stays the way it is right now, they get the Cardinals the first round, and I think that would be good for them.
Dodgers are going to cruise.
I would expect to see that.
Cubs might give them problems because their pitching is really good, but that's about it, right?
Yeah.
That's the only reason I was asking, because they're the only ones that have a teen as a loss. That's pretty good.
Atlanta's looking pretty good right now. They're 35-24.
Miami might surprise people because they don't take them seriously.
That's true. They're a wild card, they're a number 6 seed because they locked up number 2 in the East. So they could really make some noise. And like you said, Tino, people might not be expecting a lot out of them. They could be the Cinderella story of the playoffs.
I mean, for Don Mattingly's sake and Jeter's sake, I really hope so. I mean, I was okay. A lot of people were upset that they took that picture on the Yankees pitching mound because they're in the playoffs. Listen, I'm happy. I'm happy for Mattingly and Jeter. Let them celebrate on the Yankees.
Yeah, as former Yankees. Now, I've been watching, because I have MLB TV, they block out the Marlins and Rays. So I was watching the Marlins on the Marlins network, the Marlins and Yankees game yesterday, and I swear they showed the final out of the clinching game the night before at least 10 times.
It's a big deal for them, though.
It is, because they haven't been in the postseason in 17 years. They should celebrate it. It was just surprising because as a Yankee fan, and when you're used to your team going to the playoffs as often as they do, it's like business as usual. So it was an interesting perspective to see it from a team that hasn't made it in 17 years. Milk it for all it's worth, because you don't know if it's going to happen next year, or you don't know how long it's going to last for. So I'm with you, Brad. I'm pulling for them in the National League.
I don't think they're going to make it out of the first round, but I am.
But my big vote is going to come down to either the Padres or the Dodgers.
But it says here the Phillies still have a chance to make it. The Phillies are
outside chance. Yeah.
They're 28-31. That's not good.
That's ugly.
No, 3 games under 500.
Do you think
in at 29-31?
Do you think going forward, Girardi can turn that team around a little bit?
If he had a full season,
yeah,
and that's the other thing about this 60-game sprint is with Tampa Bay and with these teams that are playing really well right now for this 60-game stretch, they have not hit a rough patch. Every team goes through it. Even the Red Sox in 2018, they had that little rough patch, and it's whether or not you can bounce back from that rough patch. They got off to a hot start. The Yankees fizzled, and that's when they took over the Yankees in that one series where they played them. They never looked back because they were playing so well. So it'd be interesting to see if Tampa Bay, with the roster they have right now, could be resilient over 162 games.
I mean, they haven't really given us a reason to not think that. I mean, yeah, they're going to go through, like I said, some type of rough patch. But the way their team's constructed, I think they'd still be a first-place team.
Yeah, I mean,
you got to give them credit.
Yeah,
I am. I'm giving them credit. They have a well-built team, but so do the Yankees, and it's whether or not you're able to bounce back from those rough patches.
You know what the worst thing is, Dill, is Tampa is like their biggest thing this year was were they gonna have enough offense? And I don't know why. This is why one of the reasons why me and you hate them so much is because some of their guys only hit well against the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kiermaier kills the Yankees, and he's not good against anybody else.
Yep. He's like Jackie Bradley Jr. sometimes.
Yeah.
Well,
Even I was listening to John.
But you heard,
Toronto has a couple of those guys that only hit good against the Yankees.
yeah, and you heard Blake Snell at the beginning of the season before I think they had only played that one series in Tampa, and Blake Snell made that comment like, "Oh, whenever we beat the Yankees, it's a big party or whatever," something like that. You remember that?
Yeah, I don't remember him saying that, but he's an idiot, so he's probably
but they use the Yankees as fuel, and it's evident in the T-shirts they wore when they clinched first place in the division, and the hats they wore, and the comments they make. They are the little brother to the Yankees, and they've been trying to overtake them ever since this core, came about. And it's annoying because you're like, well, win a World Series first, and then you can do all this chirping. But they have the good team, they have the talent, and if they make a run, it's deserved. It's just, as a Yankee fan, I hate it.
You're allowed to hate it.
Yep. It's just like when the Red Sox were playing well, or when the Orioles were good 5-6 years ago, when Showalter was the manager. I didn't like them.
Yeah.
You don't mind them when they're not good, and when the Yankees aren't playing them. Like, oh, good for those young guys. Because, well, the Blue Jays have all those sons of former players, Guerrero, Biggio, Bichette. I think they have a Clemens and another guy. And so it's cool to see them do well, but only when they're not playing the Yankees. I hate it when they're playing the Yankees and Kevin Biggio, you can't strike the guy out because he fouls everything off.
Yeah, Toronto might be a really good team going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Or
they need
they'll lose all those prospects because they'll just start trading them away.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
I'm so happy when they signed Ryu because Yankees always kill Ryu.
Mm-hmm. Except for the last time we played him.
Dude, the thing about it though is that, like, I don't know. It just seems like it's like in college football, everyone always gives Notre Dame when they play Notre Dame, like everybody always gave them their best. I think it's that way with the Yankees and somewhat with the Dodgers. Like, they try a lot harder when they're playing those teams because they know
you got something to prove, right?
Yeah, I mean, not everybody has their own network.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. It's just
you get that that reputation the Yankees have that they're the top tier. And they have the best, and they're the best of the best. And sometimes when you play the best, it brings out the best in you.
Exactly. Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting how that works, but whatever. You could see them. Yankees lose to a team by 6. They go play the worst team in the division. Then they lose by 6. And it's frustrating to see.
Mm-hmm. So, is there anything else you guys got on your plate that you want to talk about?
Get your opinion on, is this so, like we are saying about how teams could possibly make it without a winning record and all that. So do you think it would have been better if it went division leaders and then everybody else? Or do you like it that the top 2 teams in each division make it no matter what, and then it's everybody else?
I don't
I like that the last game of the season means so much, but I don't like all the we can't even figure out the playoff scenarios right now. It's just so many times.
So I'm with you, and I agree. I don't mind that the number of teams are making. I don't like how they do the seeding. I think it should isn't hockey where the top 8 teams make it, and then they do the seeding based on the record. Doesn't matter what you're in.
They used to do it differently, but they do it the right way now, like you're saying, 1 through 8.
I
really think that. Go ahead, Brad. Sorry.
The reason why baseball did it this way is because the schedule was so unbalanced. So if you just had 1 through 8 for each division or each league, so if it was the top 3 division leaders, and then the 4 through 8 were just the best teams. You could have got 3 of those teams in one division because it's just so unbalanced. Like I was saying, the Central was a very weaker division than the East.
So then, would you feel more comfortable if they did the top 3 teams were the top 3 division winners? The top 3 teams were the division winners, and then 4 through 8 doesn't matter if you finish second or were the wild card. Basically, 4 through 8 is a wild card. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I would have done
and
that.
then they seed it based on record.
I would have done that because, like we said, we don't like the Yankees. Like, we didn't know they were going to play because you don't know which team in the Central is going to be the division winner, the automatic second winner, or a wild card. It's just too many things to think about. I would have went.
And then you get teams like Houston. Not to knock on Houston because trust me, you could spend an hour talking about how much I don't like Houston. But they're in the 6th seed right now. Their record is 29-30. If they win today, they finish the season 30-30. If they lose, they finish 29-31.
They shouldn't have been playoffs.
Well, they're in the 6th seed. Now, right now, if everything finishes as it is, Cleveland and Toronto in the 7th and 8th seed, respectively. Cleveland is 34-25. Toronto is 32-27. Both are over 500.
And what's the next team after that? After the top 8?
The first team is Seattle.
And what's their record?
27-32.
All right, so Houston would have made the playoffs regardless, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because they got 2 games.
What's up for someone that finishes the year above 500 and doesn't make it?
Yeah, no, that's not the case here. Houston's got the worst record of all the playoff teams, and if they seeded it the way we were talking about, they would be the 8th seed.
Can we all talk about
the 9th seed would be.
Anything about Jose Altuve?
Say it again. What about Altuve?
How great it's been that we've gone the entire season without talking about Jose Altuve at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy did not show up this year, and I feel like his performance couldn't reflect his guilt more.
And the one guy I don't mind over there, well, there's 2 guys I don't mind, and that's Brantley.
I like Brantley
because he was in none of those teams anyways.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I don't think it's because he was a Valley Cat here in our hometown, but I always like George Springer, and he's probably going to be I think it's pretty much a definite. Everyone's saying he's going to be in New York Met next year, so he'll be gone.
There you go. But so outside of those 2 guys, yeah, Bregman has played all right, and Correa has not done too well. But Altuve just like every bit of his talent exited his body when he hit that home run last year against Chatter.
Yeah.
Well, all right, so that's all we got today. I think we'll be texting throughout the day about all these crazy games. It's a good big day in sports because we got football all day too, but then you got all these playoff implication type of games. So,
I just want to take a minute. We got a comment from my father-in-law. He said, "Good thing Yankees and Alabama football and Kentucky basketball fans are never cocky." He said that when I was talking about how cocky the Rays are, and he's right. You know, we can be cocky too.
I don't know what he's talking about with Kentucky basketball. I'm never cocky about them.
That's when you became a Kentucky basketball fan like a year ago.
Yeah, like 5 years ago. Whenever Calipari became the coach. And if Calipari moves to another team, I'll be a fan of them.
Hey, speaking of your Bulldogs, I'm hearing Swift should have a big game today in the NFL. So.
I was scared with the Bulldogs yesterday. They were losing going into halftime. Thank God they turned it around. They had to switch quarterbacks because their quarterback, their starter, has COVID still.
Well, can't do anything about that, I guess.
No.
Did you see? Oh, by the way, did you see the football has their first case? It's an Atlanta Falcon corner, I think, has COVID. So. Really? I'm surprised that no one's even talking about Atlanta having to not play today.
I wonder what they did with them. They must have quarantined them.
Well, yeah, him, but I mean, I don't know.
There's no way in the world the NFL is going to cancel any games ever.
I think it's crazy that they're not going to play today. When baseball, one guy on a team gets COVID, they shut him down for 5-6 days.
Maybe this shows the rest of the world that you don't need to shut down everything to. But then again, if the whole Atlanta team gets COVID, that's going to be bad news for the NFL going forward.
It's going to be a bad look.
And then they're only playing one other team each week, so it was just one other team have to quarantine. But
problem is, though, is that
you can't shift the schedule around as easy with football because everything's packed so tightly.
No.
It's not like you can push the game off 5 days and have a game midweek or something like that, because then you lose all your preparation for the following week. And another, my father-in-law just said they rapid tested everyone and no one else was positive. I'm guessing that's for Atlanta.
The experts will tell you when you get COVID, it takes 4 or 5 days to show itself in your system. So,
And they can't do the rapid test now because it's too expensive, but not for the NFL players.
not for sports teams.
Not for sports teams.
I love that preferential treatment.
While we're on this topic, I guess we got to give MLB some congratulations for making they completed the season.
They did.
A lot of people thought it was going to shut down, including this guy over here in my corner, Big Tuna. He thought there was no way baseball was going to play the whole season. So
I don't think so.
they did it.
It wasn't, with the outbreak in Miami, and then what was it, the Phillies after that, or not the Cardinals. It was not looking great. So I'm glad they must have got the players to take it more serious, because clearly they weren't taking it serious when it started, and they really cracked down. And kudos, good for them. I'm glad baseball got to play their full 60-game season, because it would have killed me if they didn't.
I honestly thought they were just going to eliminate the team from contention. Like, we're just not playing those guys anymore, until next year. But like you said, MLB did a good job, in my opinion. They really did.
One of the few bright spots from Manfred this year.
Right.
What about Manfred?
I said the way that he handled the scheduling of the baseball season and getting the players to take this seriously and getting through the season, one of the few bright spots from him this season.
Yeah, it's like his only bright spot.
Yeah, otherwise that guy's a joke. But, that's a whole different conversation. Because I heard they want to keep expanded playoffs moving forward.
Yeah, they want to keep this now. And they're probably going to want to keep the second base rule.
I hate that. I hate that rule. I hate it in baseball.
There's actually baseball writers out there that like it, and I don't get it.
I don't get it. Yes, you're speeding up the game, and yes, it creates runs quickly, but to me, that runner didn't earn their spot on second base.
Yeah.
Now, Greg, I have a question for you. Would you rather keep that rule and have runs scored in games being over quicker, or in the spirit of not going through all your pitchers when you might have a game the very next day, would you rather have the rule that is now, or would you rather have the baseball say, okay, after 12 innings, the game ends in a tie?
Tie would be an interesting aspect to baseball. I would much rather see ties in baseball, like they do with hockey.
9 seconds. What if they went to
I would love to see a hockey points system in baseball. I think that would be awesome. I think you get 12 innings to do, like you said, 12 innings to get your score your extra run in extra innings. If you don't, that's like your shootout. Like in hockey, you get your shootout, and if no one scores and no one, then it ends in a tie, right? Or they keep going until they score.
That's the thing. That was a big deal when hockey went to a shootout after overtime, was that they said this isn't real hockey. That's not how you play hockey. It's the same thing in baseball. Like, you can't just put a guy in second. That's not baseball.
Yeah, they didn't earn their way to second base. It's like Ghost Man on second,
Exactly.
It doesn't make it for someone that's played the game as long as I have and watched the game as long as I have.
So theoretically in hockey,
right to me.
So theoretically in hockey, like, you could miss out on the playoffs because you had like 3 less points in the team. In reality, that might just mean that in 3 games you had guys that were better at breakaways than your guys, which doesn't make sense. I've never been for the shootout rule, but it's exciting for the fans, which is why I think baseball is going to keep this rule, because it's exciting for fans for whatever reason. And
the thing is, it's ridiculous because it forces teams to try and play small ball. If it's a 1-1 game going into the 10th inning and you get a guy that starts out on second base, you and your team struggling against this other team, it kind of forces them to play small ball. And a lot of teams nowadays can't do that. But you can essentially win a game with a sac bunt and a sac fly.
Well, that's unbelievable to me because, like you said, small ball works. But analytics, for a reason, says it doesn't work. So Yankees had their first sac price bunt yesterday. It was Tyler Wade. Mm-hmm. It was a perfect situation. It was 2 guys runners on first and second, nobody out. He put one down, made second, third, 1 out with LeMahieu coming up. LeMahieu doubles both guys in. Mm-hmm. If LeMahieu swings away, he could ground no double play, which Yankees do a lot. And then you got a guy in third with 2 outs. It works. I don't understand why analytics says not to do that, but it does work.
Yeah, it does. It really does. But you have to be able.
That's a whole other conversation, though.
You have to be able to bunt. You have to have guys on your team that can bunt. And right now, if your team's built on home run hitters, most of those guys, if not all of them, cannot bunt. Yeah. We saw it with Higashioka the other night. Couldn't bunt.
Yeah. What if you had a guy? What if it was like the 10th inning, you play normal, 11th inning guy in first, 12th inning guy in second, 13th guy in third.
Maybe that's a better idea, or maybe you get 10 and 11 regular, straight up baseball, and then you throw a runner on second. That's
All
like,
you should have is going through all the pitchers, and then you have nobody in the fifth.
Well, that's the thing. Nobody. As much as I would love a 20-inning game because I think they're hilarious and ridiculous because you see so many, it just keeps going and going and it never ends. But at the same time, you don't want to waste your pitcher's arms. So I think if you give 1 or 2 innings of straight, regular baseball, no runners on base to start the inning, and that's your chance. And then you go to a shootout style, which would technically be starting with a runner on second. And you do that because how many games have gone past the 11th or 12th inning this year?
I think every game's ended like 11th or 12th. Yeah, I don't think anyone's gone past that.
Yeah, so that's your window right there. Then you're appeasing the natural the fans that traditionalists. That's the word I'm looking for. You're appeasing them because they get their extra innings that are regular, and then you're appeasing the league where you're trying to shorten the games that could potentially go 17, 18, 20 innings long, So I think that's a nice middle ground. That's a good idea, Brad. We should call Manfred after this.
Give him a ring.
I got credit. I don't want him stealing my thunder. All right, well, have fun watching the games, everyone.
Yeah. Yep, lots happening. We'll post, and we got to make sure we do this because I know we all get busy and sometimes it doesn't happen. We got to make sure we record our predictions, each of us, for how the playoffs will turn out once the seeding is determined after today, and then we'll post something. People that are watching either live or later, make sure if you want to chime in, let us know what you think of our guesses, and if you want to give your guesses to compare and contrast, that's fine with us too. Give us your feedback. We don't care. We're all about communicating with you guys, and let's make this fun. Fun day of baseball, fun day of football ahead of us. Hope everybody enjoys that, and have enjoyed this episode. My name is Greg Andriano. You can find me on Twitter at GregAndriano05. This is Yankee Chatter episode 30-something. Who knows? Guys, want to walk us out?
Yep. Brad signing off for the season. Well, for the regular season. Hopefully talk to you in games for a while in the postseason here. Follow me at that name down there.
There it is.
Yeah, I'm the only one that doesn't put my Twitter handle, but, if you don't know my Twitter handle.
Bye-bye. Well done. So you got to say bye-bye.
Yeah, you got to say bye-bye. There you go.
Bye, Jack.
But, yeah, just remember to like and subscribe everything, and hopefully the playoffs are fun. It should be interesting.
Yes, if the Yankees make a deep run, then expect to see more of us.
Oh, well, of course, yeah.
We need to talk more baseball, especially if the Yankees make a deep run. Let's fingers crossed. Let's hope they do.
Right. Yeah, they got to win though. They got to win tonight.
You put up or shut up.
Yeah.
Anyways, good to talk to you guys. Good to see everybody again, and hopefully we see you all very, very soon. Thanks for tuning in, and like and subscribe.